Today we're looking at making some window coverings for the van. I'll show you later outside how I made or what I used for my curtain rod and my curtains. It's the same material here I found at my local Kmart. You can go online and find this. It was just a really cool pattern and color made by Sun Zero. It has the built-in light filter material already on it, and it's relatively inexpensive. For 2 panels, I believe it was about $20. And as far as the size goes, you just need to try to get it as close as possible width-wise. The bottom, I ended up cutting and hemming the bottom. And it's always a good idea to buy maybe an extra one or two in case you have to replace a panel later in the future. And here I covered the window with plastic. It'd be nice if I had some clear painting plastic. I ended up tearing apart a trash bag because that's all I had. All we need to do is hang up something that's transparent and we can trace out the shape of the window. Now you're going to need some of these really strong magnets you get from your local hardware store. What I did is that's what I'm using to hold up the plastic, but in the end it's what's going to hold up the actual window covering made out of actual material cloth. One thing you want to keep in mind is where the metal is. So if you do incorporate magnets into your window coverings, you want to make sure you leave enough material. You don't want to trace just the inside of the window because you're going to miss the metal. Again, you want to feel where that line is, where there's a line between the rubber and the metal, and that's kind of what I'm using as my guideline. Now I'm going to trace this bottom line, but again, you can leave this a little bit longer because you probably wanted to drape over and cover any light that's trying to come through. And when I actually cut the material, I'll probably cut it a little bit longer. You want to make sure you give yourself a 1/4 inch to a 1/2 inch of extra material, so when you fold it over and make your seam. Now I'm going to go ahead and align the bottom edge of this pattern with the bottom edge here, and maybe that'll save me some work. I won't have to make this hem. Okay guys, so again, I'm not the best at using a sewing machine. Those are skills that I've acquired via YouTube. But again, that hem is just to keep the material from unraveling. That's an option. You could have just left it straight if you wanted to and not added that extra 1/4 inch when we drew out our pattern. But again, it's just a straight line. So this is what it looks like inside, and what I did was I placed some of these really strong magnets in the areas where I think they're gonna hold up the cover the best. And you really don't need anything down here. You can see how the shape doesn't have to be exactly perfect because it's gonna need to catch the metal over here, so it's gonna have to be a little bit bigger than the actual window. It could have been a little bit longer because I could see how light might come through here in the mornings. So keep that in mind. What I'm going to do is I'm going to take some blue tape or a marker and I'm going to mark where these magnets need to be. Alright, looks like it fits pretty good. I got a magnet right here, here, up in here. And like I said, it's barely catching the metal portion here because you have rubber here and rubber here. But these magnets are really strong. So it looks like they're spaced out every about 8 inches. This one went a little farther. And again, it's kind of hanging loose right here, which is fine. Alright, they turned out pretty good. And let me show you guys what I did for my other windows. Okay, so I have the passenger van, so it's crucial to have some kind of window covering. And I had to do this as soon as possible because I had a trip coming up. The simplest way to do that is to add these like we talked about. And what I ended up doing was running a rod through here. So it's a 3/8, I believe it's an aluminum rod. And these curtains just go right through there. And they're wide enough to where they're going to overlap so that they can block out pretty much all the light. So what I did was I used this special drill bit to drill these holes in here, and I gotta admit it wasn't as easy as I thought because it's rounded and the drill bit wants to slip away. But basically I made the rod just about a 1/2 inch longer so that I could bend it and kind of put it into place. And you could use some silicone to try to seal it. I put these little lock washers so that the bar can't slide left or right, which will help it from coming out. Now on the rear window, same thing. I got 2 panels, but they all slide to the back. So my kids have a clear view of when we're traveling, which is what I wanted. And this bar here was silver. I painted it, but over the time it's been kind of chipping off, so I got to repaint it. But again, I made a hole here, and on the other side I'll show you how to make a bracket. But if I need to close these, they're just going to slide over to cover up the entire window. Really comes in handy when the kids back here want to take a nap during a trip. Okay, so back here there's not a good area. It becomes a lot thinner in the rear here to actually drill a hole. So I had to use this bracket that I found. It's like a tab, and it basically has a self-tapping screw, and it just holds the rod in place. It can slide a little bit if you need to, but that's what locks it in place. So this is what my rear window looks like. Again, I would have loved to have used some of these third-party solid window coverings that Outside Van uses, but they were so expensive. For a fraction of the cost, I was able to achieve, you know, your same goal of blocking out the sun. So again, I had drilled 2 holes in there. The rod goes through there, and with my limited sewing skills, I was able to sew on this Velcro strap so these can get tied together, so you have clear visibility, and when you want to close it, you can close it. And what I'm going to do next is I'll probably add some magnets, kind of incorporate magnets so that it can cover even more area on both sides. Now this is the passenger sliding door. And again, same principle as the back. I sewed some of these Velcro straps that I made out of using that same material. It allows me to close these when I need to, but for the most part I want to have these open so the kids can see out the door. And the door still slides good. Hey guys, thanks for watching, and like my videos, subscribe to my channel, and I'll try to keep making these videos. If you guys have any questions or comments, let me know, and I'll try to answer them as soon as I can.